These rugged mountains and green valleys in southern central France are well known for their spectacular natural beauty. And the distinctive local cheeses of this region have an important link to the ancient paths still travelled by pilgrims heading to Santiago de Compostela in Spain. Cheesemaking in the remote mountainous regions of Auvergne and the Massif Central in France go back thousands of years. But it wasn't until the 12th century, when monks introduced cows to this part of the world, that they first began making semi-hard cheeses. There are still examples made today, and one of the most famous used to be served to pilgrims here at the monastery of St Aubrac. The monks of the Aubrac plateau were the first in the region to produce a cheese made from cow's milk from an ancient breed of cattle, and they used it to feed weary pilgrims staying at the abbey. As the reputation of their delicious cheese grew, it became known as Laguiole after the local village, and the recipe was adopted by farmers who made the cheese from late May to October in small stone huts known as burons. The method of making this cheese has changed little over the centuries and is closely related to that used to make Cantal and Salaise in nearby Auvergne. Laguiole almost disappeared in the 1980s and survives today thanks to the vision of one very special man.
The cheese comes from the milk. The milk comes from the grass. The raw milk allows us to give back those qualities, those characteristics. The main concern for the people who perfected it was to preserve all of the milk's nutritious qualities over a longer period of time. Nowadays, it's the heritage that has become the pillar of local economic development.
It takes up to 500 litres of fresh whole milk to make a large drum of Laguiole cheese, which can weigh up to 45 kilos. After heating the milk, traditional animal rennet is added, and the curds are left to set for 1 hour. The curd is then cut and pressed. It's then wrapped in a cloth before being placed under a special horizontal press, where it is recut and repressed another 7 times. After this unusual method of pressing, the curd is milled and salted and placed into hoops. After the curds are being cut, salted and pressed for 24 hours, the stamp of this bull is put onto the top of them. It's really important in identifying the date the cheese is made and the fact it's Laguiole. A small foil badge is then added, showing the batch number and the day of production. And then the cheeses are matured in caves where they are turned and rubbed. Most of the cheeses ripened here are aged from 4 to 6 months. but some can be sold when they're up to 18 months old. To symbolise this village's virility and independence, a striking bull statue sits atop the town square, a fitting tribute to these noble beasts. One of the requirements for the president of Laguiole is they own a herd of Aubrac cows, and of course a buron. Back in 1900, there were over 1,000 buronniers making cheese. But sadly, none of these huts are still used to make cheese commercially today. The local specialty, once used to sustain the pilgrims, is a hearty dish called aligot, which is made from bread or potatoes and fresh melted Laguiole cheese. In the hands of a master, this dish is just as popular as it was centuries ago. Traditionally, the cheese and potato mixture is stirred over an open fire to create the perfect texture. The chef knows it's ready when long ribbons can be stretched using a custom-made wooden paddle. In addition to cheese, the village of Laguiole is associated with the world-famous Laguiole knives.
This factory was created 20 years ago to revive the local manufacturing of the Laguiole knife, which is in fact very old. It is 200 years old. And the production, the local production, disappeared in the middle of the 20th century. And it was relocated to Thiers, which is the French cutlery capital. So everything was industrialized. And 20 years ago, 4 people from here decided to revive the local manufacturing. And now we are about 100 people working here. Now we are famous all around the world. We sell in 45 countries.
I'm heading north to the Auvergne, which is famous for its dairy cattle, cured meats, and its cheeses. They make 5 famous cheeses there, and I can't wait to learn a little bit more about how they're made. The region's recognised Appellation cheeses are Salaise, St Nectaire, Bleu d'Auvergne, Ferme Bellonte, and one other. The most popular cheese in the Auvergne region is called Cantal, and this is it. Sadly, most Cantal these days is made from pasteurised milk in big industrial factories, and just 10% is made the traditional way from raw milk. Most of them end up here in these tunnels, which hold 3,500 cheeses. Cantal cheese takes its name from the province of Cantal. Most industrial Cantal can be very bland and a little bit boring, but in my experience, those matured in the railway tunnels by the Fromagerie Saint-Mamet are really outstanding. Felix, raconte-moi l'histoire du tunnel.
Ce tunnel a une très belle histoire.
This tunnel has a very nice history. It was originally a railway tunnel built between 1900 and 1910. In 1935, the tunnel was abandoned for some 30 years. And in 1966, the Confederation had the idea to buy this tunnel and to build it into a maturation cave, a natural cave environment like the burons. Here, the cheese and the cave have a high moisture level and the temperature is constant. between 11 and 11.5 degrees. And this is ideal to ripen Cantal and the Cellaires.
Et ça, c'est l'idéal pour affiner des Cantal et des Cellaires. Le goût, c'est un goût, vous voyez, vous constatez.
The taste you can see for yourself. This cheese has a light, nutty flavour, thanks to the natural maturation in caves and this long ripening period, 180 days. It gives the cheese a special bite.
Under the French system of appellation, which controls how and where a cheese is made, there's just one which must be made on the farm. It takes its name from this pretty town. It's called Cellaires. This medieval village is situated in the heart of the Cantal Mountains and has been protected under appellation since 1979. All cheese bearing the name must be produced between April and November, only from warm, raw milk. Traditionally, Cellaires was made by the farmer's wife using milk from the local Cellaires cows. This rare regional breed will only produce milk when a calf is present, which is easy to arrange when cows are hand-milked. But with modern mechanical milking, they have proved impractical, and nowadays, most cheese is sadly made with the milk of other breeds. Using warm raw milk from their 50-strong herd, cheese is made twice a day and involves a series of laborious steps in which the curds are gently cut and then stirred.
I'm stirring the curd and gathering the small pieces of curd. With the help of the board, the small pieces are sticking together to form a compact mass on the bottom.
Excess whey is removed and the warm curds are placed in cloth before pressing in a similar process to Laguiole and Cantal. Under current regulations, Cellaires must be matured for a minimum of 3 months. And when ripe, it has a beautiful, moist, fragile texture and a complex, floral, fruity flavour. With the use of raw milk, chestnut barrels, animal rennet and strict maturation, it's easy to understand why Cellaires has become one of the most respected of all France's mountain cheeses. This unusual event is held in villages all across the Auvergne. It might look like some sort of weird cow party, but in fact it represents a very important tradition. These cows are dressed in flowers, bells, and then they're paraded through the local villages before they go on a very special bovine journey. This annual migration takes place from the end of May and is known as transhumance. It's quite amazing how many visitors come to watch, and there's a great atmosphere in the village as the cows are proudly paraded through the streets. transhumance is a good excuse for a rowdy party. But after all the fuss, I think these cows really deserve some peace and quiet. And the only way they're going to get that is after a long trek up the mountains. And this is their final destination. Once the snows have melted, the cows come to graze on these rich green pastures. And at this time of year, they're covered in a spectacular array of wildflowers, which produce fantastic milk. And of course, great cheese. These high pastures are carpeted with a diverse mixture of grasses and herbage, including violets, wild fennel and broom. You never know what to expect on one of these trips, and I've discovered that Auvergne has a route de fromage, a cheese drive for tourists. Next on my list is a small semi-hard cheese called St Nectaire. Traditionally, St Nectaire was made from the milk of Salers cows, but this is now very rare, and most farms use a mixture of milk from Frisian or Montbéliard cows. I've just discovered that this is the only farm that still matures cheese on the farm for the full 5 weeks. Monsieur, expliquez-moi l'affinage d'ici.
For the maturation, the cheeses are placed in the cellar at a temperature between 8 and 13 degrees. These cheeses are flipped every 2 to 3 days, rubbed like this, and are put back on the shelves. After a while, they turn white. They're rubbed again by hand until the end of the ripening. These are 5 weeks old.
The best cheeses are still made on the farm and are recognisable by their green label. What I was really hoping to discover was cheese matured the traditional way in damp volcanic caves. Well, I finally found what I've been looking for. Real farmhouse St Nectaire, matured in caves on rye straw mats. These particular cheeses are matured in a cave that goes back to 900 AD. Just behind the beautiful old village of St Nectaire, you'll find La Ferme Bellonte, one of only 5 farms still selling cheese made with Salers cow's milk. And even better, it's matured in caves originally dug by troglodytes. The rind of these cheeses is not simply grey, but contains flecks of red and yellow moulds, as well as tiny buttons of white mould, which are referred to as flowers of the cheese. As for flavour, well, it's like nothing I've ever tasted, and well worth trying if ever you get the chance.
10 minutes là, on est arrivé.
10 minutes? Ah oui? Ah bon?
Même pas, ouais.
Ça va? Merci beaucoup.
De rien.
Auvergne is well known for 2 blue cheeses, called Forme d'Ambert and Bleu d'Auvergne. These days the production of both is industrial, but I've been told that a farm not far up the road still produces both of these benchmarks the old-fashioned way. This is going to be really interesting. I've never had good Bleu d'Auvergne, but this stuff is farmhouse, so it should be good. Nothing like a good French apron, eh? That's what I say. Would you like to show me how to do one of these?
Still, yes.
Okay.
Of course.
How would you do? Straight in there.
Take it.
Yeah. Like this.
Yeah. Again, okay. Very fine. Little. Yes.
Okay. You think I have a job now?
Keep you for working with me.
Ferme d'Auvergne is one of France's more ancient blue cheeses, and some believe it may even be the forerunner of Roquefort. Whilst Bleu d'Auvergne is said to have been perfected by Monsieur Rouchel more than a century ago.
It's Bleu d'Auvergne. 2 months curing.
That's delicious. That's the best Bleu d'Auvergne I've ever had in my life. Whether it's blue or semi-hard cheeses, one thing's clear. There's still plenty of choice when it comes to finding interesting cheeses in the Massif Central and Auvergne regions of France. And I'm sure the pilgrims who travelled in the name of religion across this rugged landscape would approve of what they started all those centuries ago.